All right, welcome in. It's time for Total Bases. A new week. It's Monday. It's Patriot Day in Massachusetts. My sister lived in Massachusetts for a long time. Always got the day off. Was always kind of jealous about that. They get the marathon. They get 11 a.m. baseball. And so that's where we'll start today. Let's go out to Fenway Park. Tigers, Red Sox. Tokyo Brandon, I'll go to you first. The Red Sox get this walk-off win on Friday night in a 0-0 game that ends in extras. And then they turn around and do sort of kind of what you said they were going to do the last 2 days. The three of us agreed that Skubal was in a good spot on Saturday. He certainly was. He looked great. And then yesterday's game, kind of a weird game, got pushed back due to weather. And looks like the Red Sox didn't get the memo that there was a game that was going to be played at 4 p.m. They kind of got down early and ended up losing 6-2. So over to Tokyo Brandon to start things off. 11 a.m. Eastern here in the States. Tigers, Red Sox, the finale of a wraparound series. Does the Red Sox get a split here?
So, yeah, these are two teams that, well, the Tigers' bats are a little cold right now. Red Sox, I got them ranked 13 in current form, where I got the Tigers ranked 20. And bullpen, man, the Red Sox bullpen is performing quite well right now. Tigers, not too shabby either. I got the starting pitchers ranked pretty neck and neck here, but one interesting point. I think Sonny Gray looks like he's 12 years old, but he's actually 36, and he's getting up there. And you can tell this season he doesn't look quite himself. His numbers on the surface look good, but when you look at the actual game scores, slipping a little bit. But he's a very good home pitcher, and Flaherty had a 5+ ERA on the road last year. So I think Sonny Gray can probably outperform Flaherty in this one. If you look at my Twitter X, I already put up my pitcher OPS ranks for today, and Sonny Gray heads the list. So granted, like I always say, you can take those with a grain of salt, because when a guy's 36 years old, those stats include when he was 26. So they don't really apply right now. So take a little grain of salt there. But with his home numbers and Flaherty's struggles on the road, plus the Boston bats are in a little bit better form, I think it would have to be Red Sox or nothing in this one.
The only issue I have with that is kind of what the chat is saying, where it's like the price sort of is crazy here for the Red Sox, in my opinion, with how they've played lately, the last 2 days. I don't disagree with thinking the Red Sox would have an edge in this matchup. Like if you're just looking at team one versus team two, but Bryan Leonard, are you like that? This seems like an inflated number for a Red Sox team that's really just hasn't played great ball all year.
Yeah, both teams hit better against righties than they do against lefties. And I've been riding the under in this series pretty much the entire time. I thought I might get away with one yesterday, but ended up with a total of 7. Ends up going over at 8. Both bullpens are in really good shape here. I'm not too worried about the bullpens. Two veteran pitchers. And if you have a young guy out there at this strange start time, I would be worried about him. But as we know, the veterans have been there, done that. I don't know how many that Flaherty's pitched this early in the morning, and Gray has just gone to Boston, so he probably hasn't done it unless he did it with the Yankees. But I prefer a veteran in a situation where the timing is different, the whole vibe is different. You're still getting 8s out there right now, slightly to the under. That would be the way I would go, because the bullpens, as I said, are in pretty good shape here. The series has been low scoring. Neither team has really knocked the cover off the ball as of late. These are the games that are harder, at least harder for me to handicap, because you don't see them very often. But I would go with the under if I played this. I don't know if I trust either offense in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just pull up. I pulled up Colin Gregory's comment first. I'll pull up G Hertz now. Like I agree with both of you. Like the Red Sox walked it off on Friday. It was a game we talked about on the show. I like the Red Sox in that game. and they got the win. And it's like, as soon as they won that game, the prices shifted in this series to them suddenly probably 15 to 20 cents more than you were asked to be, than you were being asked to lay on Friday. They didn't look good in either game, right? Like, I mean, they really weren't close on Saturday or Sunday. And so, but it's like, because it's like Patriot Day, I think you're being asked to lay like the same price as you were the last 2 days. Like, I feel like normally 4-game series, you have the outcomes you had the last 2 days. That you may have seen a shift in the numbers back to like what they were on Friday night, which I think Friday night you could have got Red Sox like minus 120 for a long period of time. I just think you're paying too much of a task because it's like a holiday in Boston. This team's not playing good right now. Like, that's just it. They're 8-13. They haven't been good all year. Lethargic. Offense doesn't show up. You know, it's just, they don't justify the price tag here. I don't really want to back the Tigers, but if I had to play this game, I just from a number standpoint, Bryan Leonard, I think it'd have to be the Tigers at this price.
Yeah, I don't know what Boston's record are in these games. I don't know if that makes a big deal since they only play one a year. Maybe the betting public is thinking that this is the team that is more capable of playing in this game because they do it every year as opposed to Detroit. That could be a reason why the line's a little bit higher. But in these one-off type of games, every season's different. You got different personnel. I don't know if that's any reason to play Boston just because of that.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit plays plenty of Earth. They may play as many day games as anyone. You know, obviously their typical day game starts at 1 p.m., but still, the Tigers play a lot of day games. Again, I'm not really like saying you should bet the Tigers, but I do think you're laying an inflated price if you and then so I just want to pull this up. Ramble Nunn says, heard from Boston, found this Red Sox do not have a good record on Marathon Monday. A lot of distractions, early start. I'd like to know what that record is. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's very easy to figure out. Would it play into my decision to like play this game? Probably not. But that is something that would be interesting to know. And Mark Martin says no vig has a 4.5 first 5 under, but it's minus 130. It looks like some folks are talking about that in the chat. I'm going to go back to the chat, though, and I'm going to send this back to Tokyo Brandon. I made a mistake last night, and I took the Phillies, even though the three of us have come on and talked about how great this Braves team is. I thought I was in a great spot with the Phillies on Sunday Night Baseball. I like Andrew Painter. I got a 2-0 lead real quick with Schwarber. And the Braves, though, they string hits together. Austin Riley made an incredible play on a ball that was hit by Bryce Harper that could have brought the Phillies closer. Even Acuna, who's not known for being great defensively at times, really got a nice jump on a ball to end the game. The Braves are playing really, really good baseball right now. And so Steve Duke in the chat, and this is going to you, Tokyo Brandon, says, I'm not backing Irvin, but Atlanta traveled after the Sunday night game. I usually stay away from that. So Braves coming off Sunday Night Baseball, they go to D.C., Braves Nationals to you.
Yeah, I was on the Braves yesterday at first 5, so I was pretty happy about that. When they went down, I was a little worried, but you know, these Braves bats, they generally will come out, will produce runs under any condition. So we got Elder going against Irvin here. Irvin's not a pitcher I like to back. He's having a pretty bad season right now. And if you look at his numbers against these guys, it's actually not too bad. A 702 OPS in his career. Don't have a read on Elder, at least don't have a sample size big enough. But Elder's been pitching well this season. Don't know how long that's going to last. But I curved my starting pitchers on a curve of 30, and he ranks 6, where Irvin ranks 22. Washington bullpen disarray, ranked 23rd. Braves bullpen doing okay. I think the Braves lineup is just, they're hitting better than the Dodgers right now. What's happened to the Dodgers in Colorado? Wow. Colorado tends to step their game up against the Dodgers, but we'll probably get to that game later. But Elder, I think I can trust him here. I like the Braves, but price is a little steep. Maybe take a -1 on the Braves here. If you take a -1, they're on the road, and they get 9 innings of at-bats no matter what. So I'd rather take a -1 with the road team. You're right, they're traveling, but it's much better to travel this way. These guys are used to traveling. It's not a big deal. The only time I'll dock traveling is when they go back home, and they're not going back home. So I don't think travel is a big deal. And the discrepancy in hitting between these two teams and the discrepancy in the bullpen, I think that makes up for any tiredness. These guys travel for 160 games. So that's my take.
I'll point out something from the Peacock broadcast last night. John Kruk kind of made a comment that was interesting to me. Said traveling to DC is one of the more annoying trips that these guys have to make. It has something to do with the lack of not being able to charter into a certain airport because it's DC. So they have to fly into, I think, like one as opposed to the other. There's a bus ride. He was basically saying it's one of the more annoying trips. I'm not sure that how much that matters into the number. I would be more concerned for if you like the Braves that like maybe this is a little bit of a flat spot. You know, they had not swept the Phillies, Bryan Leonard, in Philadelphia in over a decade. So that was a big deal for them to go out, get that win on Sunday Night Baseball. My gut says sell them off here at what's a peak. But then again, like you watch them play, they do everything right. They defend well. They put together really good at-bats. Like, it makes it difficult. So I lean Nats +1.5. I think it's fair number. But do I want to do it is the question. Braves Nationals to you.
Seems like we were all involved in this game yesterday. In retrospect, I guess I got pretty lucky. I had the Phillies over 1.5 in the first 5, and I won that game in the first inning. And then they don't score again the rest of the game. So, that was probably a fortunate game for me, but that was our top play yesterday. Keep in mind, it's a short distance from Philadelphia to Washington. It's not like a major flight. So I understand the flying into Washington part. Obviously, it's the nation's capital. Security is probably tighter there than anywhere else, especially in the world we live in anymore. But, I could see that having an effect. Washington knocks the hell out of the ball against lefties. They're finally playing a right-hander here. They're only league average against righties this year, 100 WRC plus. That's league average. They're 135 against lefties. So you're not going to get the typical Washington effort against lefties here because Elder's a guy who, say what you want about him, he's able to extend his starts. Atlanta's starting pitching staff, I believe, right now has the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball. So they're getting some good starts out of these guys, which definitely helps the bullpen. And we had the closer come back yesterday, pitched pretty well. So maybe they're back in shape for the closer. There was some worries that Iglesias had slept on his shoulder, and maybe they thought that, that was just what they were saying. But he came out last night and pitched pretty well. So they're back in their normal good back of the bullpen here. I'm with you. I like Atlanta here, but I don't know if I want to lay that number. Washington's a team that can hit against just about anybody. And so they're never out of the game. Although in the second half of this, I think it's clearly Atlanta. I much prefer the Atlanta bullpen to Washington's. So you can either take a look at the first half, and let's take a look at quick look at that. And you're laying 150, 145. I'm seeing a couple of 160s out there. So you're probably, if you're looking to play Atlanta, I would go for the full game because the better team, the longer you play, the better chance they have to win. And plus they've got that the much better bullpen. So if you like Atlanta, I'd play them in the full 9. If you like Washington, maybe you can get to them early on in this game. You're getting basically the same number. So if you like Washington, maybe first half. If you like full game, maybe Atlanta. I probably won't be involved either way.
the Braves used some bullpen the last couple days, so they did have to kind of get to they did dip into their bullpen like pretty early last night. I would say just about everyone of note that they have kind of through a leverage inning. The Nats the Nats have impressed me in terms of the way they hit the ball. I still don't think this is a great baseball team, but there's a lot of like kind of upside bats. And I'll go back to something I sort of brought up at times last year. Like they are built. The Nationals lineup is built to have success against right-handed pitching. A lot of lefty bats that I think, get worse against lefties. A lot of guys that have better splits against right-handed pitching. Bryce Elder is like, he's not going to keep a sub 1 ERA and a 1.03 whip all year. But where I will give him credit is he pitches like a guy that like understands how good his team is. Like it's like he goes that if you put Bryce Elder on like some 500 team that wasn't as good as the Braves, that didn't have the defense the Braves had, I think Bryce Elder would be like a 5 ERA guy. But he goes out there and it's like he understands that like he doesn't have to do too much. His team is incredible. He's got great defenders behind him. If he gets to the inning 5 or 6, they're going to go to the bullpen. But I still like the Nationals here, plus the 1.5. That might be my parlay leg. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but there are edges in this game for the Nats, specifically their splits against right-handed pitching. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I apologize. I was looking at the wrong bullpen. You are correct. Iglesias got injured Saturday, didn't play. He threw 21 yesterday. In fact, the top 3 guys, the back of the Iglesias, Lee, and Suarez, may not be available at all tonight. So my mistake. Thank you for pointing that out. We all make mistakes, and I appreciate you not glancing over that. Got to be pointed out if I do make a mistake.
Atlanta could use outfielders as their relief pitchers and still be better than the Nationals bullpen.
Iglesias got lucky last night. That was he gave up a bullet to end the game. That would have, if it was another foot to the right, or if Acuna, who will botch that play at times, doesn't get a good jump, that's a 4-4 game. So I don't think you see him in the game tonight, and if you do, this could be a spot where he blows one, because he did not look overly sure of himself last night in that game. And again, he got away with one because that was a rocket that ended the game on a line drive to right field. So do what you will with that.
Sorry to cut you off, Adam. Can I just give 10 seconds of betting advice? Washington Nationals first 5 innings. If you see 1.5 team total, it's been pretty much gold. I think I've won probably 8 and lost maybe 1 or 2 on that. So Washington Nationals, if you see a 1.5 first 5 team total, bet the over, no matter who they're playing.
Can't disagree with that one bit. I mean, they put a guy on, Elder gives up a bomb, you're hitting that. Like, they all have good splits against right-handed pitching. That's a really good call, TB. That's a great call. What's the juice on that?
Yeah, you are seeing 1.5 out there right now at over 125. So, yeah, I would not find any fault in that.
I'm just saying in general, like any game.
Yeah.
Any game. Washington's very overlooked, but they do hit well. You guys made good points. They do hit well. I totally agree with you. Their bullpen's just been bad, but they do hit well, and they're overlooked by the book. So grab it while you can, I think. Any game, not just today.
Over 1.5 team total there should probably be more like -160. -150, -160 against Bryce Elder. Not 120. 125 is it. Yeah, that's basically the books saying like, no, like he is what his numbers are. And we've all watched Bryce Elder long enough to know that he's not a sub 1 whip guy. Mm-hmm. He's just, off to a good start.
I don't think they're actually thinking it that much. I think when one team is that much of a favorite, they have to make the team total that low. I don't think they're actually looking at who's pitching. Maybe they are. I'm not sure. I don't know how they make the lines, but Washington is always an underdog. And they're almost always 1.5.
If you take a look at the last 14 days on roster resource, the 2 best starters for Atlanta have been Bryce Elder at 47th in baseball and Martin Perez at 48th. So it's not Chris Sale. It's not Chris Sale, So, you take a look at this. They got Elder, Ronaldo Lopez, and Martin Perez, and it doesn't matter. They've been that good offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, fade the Braves at your own peril at this point. It's kind of what it feels like.
And grab
All
our
right,
double
I wanna-
play.
Yeah. There's listen, there's people that come into the comments after losses and talk about fading us. If you want to fade us, you can get all of our plays at the Wager Talk too. We prefer, we think long term it's better if you tail our plays. It's going to probably be better for you long term. But hey, don't tell, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. If you buy the package, do whatever you want with it. That is up at the page. Double play, myself TB, myself Bryan TB, take 2 of the 3. We all sort of approach the market a little bit differently. So it's going to get you some different angles. TB and I also go into some of the smaller markets. I got caught on the wrong end of a couple of 1-run losses or close losses in Major League Baseball this weekend, but I cleaned up in KBO and AAA. Bryan is doing the NHL. Bryan, I think in the NHL, I don't even think the Flyers fly to DC. I think they take the train because it's kind of a dick around. I'm pretty sure they train from Philly to DC. And also, since I brought the NFL back up, why don't you tell folks what you have going on in the NHL tonight? God, it's Monday morning.
Yeah, Monday morning. It's tough this time of the morning. We had a great weekend. Though I did lose a little bit yesterday. Speaking of the NHL, I had the Golden Knights under 3.5 team total. They had 1 going into the third period and scored 3 goals. So that's my only loser in the playoffs in either the NBA or the NHL. We're 75% right now. I do have a 5% going in the NHL today. Don't remember the last time I had a 5% in the NHL. We're number 1 lifetime in NHL, number 1 lifetime in Major League Baseball. So if you're looking to get a big play today, check out that 5% play. But we still have the buy 3 days, get 3 days for many of us. So that's the way to do it. Save yourself some money. It's baseball season. You know how well we all do in the playoffs. So that's the best time to get it. Just go to the website at WagerTalk and figure that out. But it's an exciting day for me, even though it is a Monday.
Devang 7766. How do I sign up for the premium picks? They are at WagerTalk. So WagerTalk.com would be the link. The link is likely in the replay of this show if you're watching on replay, as will the timestamps be in there today. Sorry about that on Saturday. Okay, we forgot to do them. But the link will be in the replay of the show, right in the body, but also www.wagertalk.com is where the only place that you will find all 3 of our plays. All right, I took the comment down, but someone was asking about the Reds and Tokyo Brandon. The way they were asking about the Reds was sort of from the angle of like this team's like overperforming so far this year. What do you guys make of it? I'll chalk up some of their wins this weekend to the Twins having no bullpen, which might be something we have to talk about at a time that we talk about the Twins. But here we're talking about the Reds. They now head to Tampa to take on the Rays. The Rays were in some crazy games this weekend. I think one of them lasted like 9 hours or something like that when you got all the rain delays in there. So what do you make of Reds, Rays? And do you think either of these teams, TB, is overvalued right now? One is 14-8, one is 12-9. Both better starts than I think most had them chalked up for.
I think the Rays are hitting a lot better than they should be, if that makes any sense. And I think Cincinnati, I don't know how you could say Cincinnati's overrated. They're not hitting well at all. I got them ranked 27 out of 30 teams in hitting, but they're doing everything else pretty well. Bullpen's performing so-so. I was on Minnesota the last 2 days, and their bullpen blew both of those games, being up going into the 7th inning in each game. So I was not happy about that. But I think the Reds have named a starter, Louder, and the Rays have not, which means they're probably going to do a bullpen game, I imagine. Rays are good at doing bullpen games because we know that they usually have a good bullpen, but I got their bullpen ranked 21 right now in current form. So I would lean the Reds in this one because I like what I see from Louder. His actual ranking is very mediocre, but I actually watched him pitch. I like him. And I'll always go with a team that names a starter over a team that can't decide who they want to pitch the game for them. We've seen this. It's early in the season, but who else is doing this? One of the terrible teams is doing this. Is it the White Sox? Someone is like not naming a starter every day. Which team is that? Is it the Angels or the White Sox? One of those.
A lot of teams do that. It's not that they don't know who their starter is. It's that if you're playing it right, if you've got a right-handed starter that you're worried about seeing the same lineup 3 times, what you're going to do is you want to throw in a left-handed reliever to start the game, so that way the opposite, the team has to change their lineup as the game goes on. That's why they do it. That's why Tampa Bay has done it for years. It's still very frustrating from a gambling standpoint.
Let me get in here quick. It's going to be Jesse Scholtens. So they haven't not named a starter. It's just not listed on your book because they may use an opener. Jesse Scholtens is the guy that you need to use as the starter here because he's going to pitch the bulk of the innings.
I can't see that being a long-term good strategy, but I would lean the Reds here. I think yesterday they seemed to get their bats going. The bats was what was concerning me about the Reds because they rank so low on my hitting rankings, and the Rays were whacking it pretty good. And they've, like you said, they've been in some crazy games, but that's got to wear you out. And I think the Rays are hitting above what they should be. So I'd lean on the Reds in this game.
Yeah,
Bryan, you made a great point on, I think maybe it was Friday or Saturday, pointing out the Reds were dead last in WRC plus in Major League Baseball. So I know you want to jump in here and talk about how overrated the Reds are. You have the floor.
Yeah, if you're going, I think personally, not from a betting standpoint, but as a win, if you're the manager of a team, if you're playing a team that does not change their lineup like Toronto, it's a great time to use an opener every time you play them, because you're going to get a full inning or maybe 2 innings of them playing against a guy, a handedness that they don't normally see. So the Reds are the luckiest team in baseball. I've talked about it all along. They played 22 games. They got 14 actual wins. Their expected wins are 9.7. So their win percentage is 63.6. It should be 44.3. That's a full game over the Cardinals or the Diamondbacks in the luck factor. And the unlucky are the Mariners, the Mets, and the Phillies. And we've been talking about the Mariners all season long. They've got 10 expected win, or 10 actual wins. They should have 13.5. So I don't like to play against that. So I'm trying to get to finding a number that the public doesn't see. And that's one of them. They just look at the record and they go, oh, this team is 17-7 or whatever, when they should be 14-14 or whatever, 14-11. So that's one of the things I look at. The Reds just are not hitting. They're not hitting at all. The problem being Tampa Bay, as much as I like Terry Francona, he's a great players manager. He's the lesser of the 2 managers here. And if you watch him over the years, and he was in Cleveland a long time, he does not make good personnel decisions when the games are going on. So even though Lauder's not a bad pitcher, I kind of like Lauder a little bit. In a game in which I expect it to be a close game, and the line is saying right now, basically Tampa Bay is going to be about a 125, 120 favorite. I would prefer Tampa Bay at home, but that's the way I would look at it. The Reds are not this good, and they've been very lucky, and I'm going to find ways to go against them. I don't know if today's the day to do it, but we will fade the Reds mostly in the next couple of weeks and have success.
I'm going to explain very quickly why the opener is a thing, but also, I think this is actionable because I think sometimes, books are a little bit lazy. If you follow these teams and you sort of follow what they do on a day-to-day basis, you should know who the quote-unquote starter is. I can, in 9 times out of 10, I'll be able to tell you who the starter is going to be, even if they're not the first pitcher. Now, why is that important, and why does it matter from a betting standpoint? One, sometimes the books are lazy, and sometimes they just say, it's a bullpen game, when it's actually not. When it's just it's a bullpen game only in the respect that they're going to, like the White Sox are going to use Grant Taylor first. It's almost never a bullpen game because Grant Taylor's opening. It's just they want to use him first. Now, the reason you're seeing this and the reason this is going to be normal in Major League Baseball is starting pitching is at a massive premium. These teams, there are not as many, there's not even close to as many traditional starters that are like guys that they're going to go 6 innings, right? Traditional starter, they're going to go out, they're going to go 6 innings, they're going to go 3 times through the order. You can like set your watch to it. There's just, they just don't exist as much anymore. So what the opener allows these teams to do is maybe they get 1 inning. Sometimes Grant Taylor was really efficient the other day. He gave them 2. Now, if you don't trust a guy like that's in your rotation, he can go 2 innings and you can say, all right, let me get him out if I have to, bring in a reliever, and then do it again with a different bulk guy if you really want to do that. So what that tells me, Jesse Scholtens, he's still a guy that's kind of, he was in the White Sox organization. He was coming out of the bullpen. The Rays just straight up do not trust him as a starter as much. And so that's kind of what they're doing, in my opinion. They're going to, maybe they do let him start the game, but that should tell you something. Like they're not fully buying into him as a starter. And I think that's, you kind of have to like take that into consideration. And that's why they do it. And that's why a lot of these teams are doing opener, bulk, not fully committed. Hey, if you're cruising, yeah, you'll stay in for 5 innings. If you're not, we're going to go to the bullpen, which means you need to know what these teams have available in the bullpen. Because if they don't have a ton of arms and they run out, I can't remember what game it was, but I got burned on this. Can't remember what game it was. But they straight up just kind of ran out of guys because my bulk guy didn't have his stuff. So it can blow up in your face, something you should be taking into your handicap, in my opinion. Okay. Sorry for that. I felt like that's like, it comes up a lot. And I feel like people don't, I feel like people are like, oh, they have a named starter. It's like a bullpen game. It never is. 9 times out of 10, it's not. So we have to get the record straight on that. All right. Mark Lambert says, KC Baltimore should not be 9. 20 plus strikeouts coming in this one. Mark, that's a hot take. I like that though, Mark. He said both these teams stink right now. So Bryan Leonard, to you, Royals, Orioles. Do you see some? Are you with Mark Lambert? Do you see some swing and miss here? I guess the pitchers definitely have some swing and miss stuff. So talk about this game.
I don't see the swing and miss. Bradish has been a disappointment. Obviously, he came back from injury. If you take a look at his stats, he's not missing bats. He's not the same pitcher as what we thought he was going to be. Now it's early. He's coming back from Tommy John. It's a situation where as the season goes on, I think he'll be a little bit better. But a lot of people, since he looked so good in the preseason, a lot of people thought he was just going to come out running, and he hasn't. He has not looked that good. Seth Lugo's having a really nice season, but he's not a guy I would expect to get a lot of strikeouts. Now, I will say from a team standpoint, Baltimore and Kansas City will strike out. There's no doubt about it. But these are not the pitchers that will do it. Maybe it'll be more of the bullpen guys. When the bullpen guys come out, they'll strike them out. Baltimore, I've watched every game this weekend. They played Cleveland, and I like the way Baltimore was playing. They look like they're starting to come around as a team, and Kansas City has not. Kansas City continues to struggle. I pulled the opposite of the TB jinx the other day, and I talked about Witt only having 1 run scored in on the season, and I think he came out and he scored 3 runs the following game. But then yesterday, here we go again. Kansas City's just not hitting well enough right now. Nobody on that team, other than their number 9 guy in the lineup, who is basically a quad A guy, is the only one hitting. So I don't know what to make of this game. I think Baltimore is probably the way to go, but I hate to go against Lugo because he's the one guy right now in Kansas City's rotation that I really trust at this point.
Yeah, TB to you, and maybe you can speak to the pitching matchup a little bit here, because Kyle Bradish, I got to be honest, I thought he was going to be dealing to this point. He came back middle of last year, so last year was kind of a lost year for him, but they got him out there in August. They let him They let him progress very slow because, of course, by August, the Orioles were completely out of any sort of contention. They were selling off their team. They let Bradish really go slow at the minor league level. They didn't rush him back. And when he got back to the majors, he looked really good. Like, he looked great. After like a month of sort of slowly rehabbing in the minors. I thought this was going to be like a big sort of bounce back year for him. And that has just not been the case to this point. I want to buy low on him, but from what I've seen, it just hasn't looked great. Velocity is not, at times has not been there. So yeah, I don't know what to do about this one. Cause like Bryan, I kind of want to take the Orioles. Think it's a good spot for them, but I have my concerns. What do you think? Lugo, Bradish, Royals, Orioles?
Yeah. Bradish, he hasn't been that bad. I got him ranked 14 on the curve at 30. So he's a little over mediocre. Well, very mediocre, let's say. Lugo's been pitching out of his mind. In 4 starts, he's given up only 4 runs, and he's finished 6 innings in 3 of those starts. It's pretty incredible stuff. But can it last? Probably not. He'll regress a little bit, but Lugo's not a bad pitcher. He's a good innings eater guy. So how would we approach this? Well, Baltimore's bullpen has been absolute fire. I got them ranked 3. They're pitching really well right now. If you look at my Twitter X, my pitcher rankings today for their matchups, Seth Lugo's towards the top. But as I said, there may be some regression coming because he's been pitching way out of his mind. Will it continue? Probably not quite as good as this, but I don't think he'll regress too much. Well, Casey's bullpen is not good, and Casey's hitting not good. I would do perhaps a team total under for the Royals here, maybe if you're going to trust Bradish. Yeah, I would go that way because Baltimore's bullpen has been lights out, and Casey can't seem to hit the side of a barn. So. Maybe Kansas City's team total under 3.5 would be a decent play here.
Bryan, I want to trust Bradish because, like, he has the flashes. He has more strikeouts than innings pitched. The whip is not that bad.
Yep.
The problem is the command has been off. He'll have one batter, he strikes him out. Next guy, it's right over the middle of the plate. Gives up a hit. Next guy can't find the zone, walk. That's been the issue with him so far. It's just tough to know, like, when is he going to get it all together? Because if he does, he's the better option here, in my opinion. But it's hard to rely on that. Orioles, Royals to you.
Yeah, the command and control is the last thing you get back when you have major surgery like that. I do want to point out that the Baltimore bullpen, the top 5 guys in the bullpen have not pitched the last 2 days. So Baltimore's got their full bullpen available in this one. So I did check the service I use that does the projections. They have Bradish and Lugo to combine for 9.5 strikeouts, and they're both supposed to go just over 5 innings. So the bullpen will have to really come out and throw some fire for you to get a lot more strikeouts there. But it's if Bradish could come out and he could throw a no-hitter. He has that kind of stuff. But without the control right now, it's one of those wait and sees. Everybody's been jumping on him so far, and a lot of times with these guys, once you say, I'm done with them, that's when he puts out his best effort. So we'll see. But the guy's very talented, no doubt about it.
I love your angle right there with bullpen depth because the Orioles also this week, I don't know exactly what they do, but I'd be shocked if Cade Povich is not making his next start in the big leagues. I'm really not quite sure why he didn't just stay in the rotation this time around. He was fantastic for Norfolk yesterday, and that was after pitching. I think he pitched pretty good in the big leagues earlier this year. So I would expect he is in the rotation this time around. Might give them some flexibility to maybe like use Kramer out of the bullpen, and then you talked about having not used those bullpen guys, and that's the thing is like. The Orioles, I'm not betting on them because I think they have a good bullpen. In fact, I think that's like probably the part of that team I think is the least sort of appealing. So when you get the Orioles in a spot like this, where they do have some rested bullpen arms, yeah, I mean, again, like there's some appeal there. It's one that I'm thinking about. And like Bryan said, you have to just try to gauge, like, is this the time to buy? Because listen, once Bradish comes out and has that start where he goes 6 scoreless and strikes out 11, the value is going to be gone. So you really have to have to anticipate it. I couldn't talk anyone off of like taking a flyer that Bradish has a good game here. I don't know exactly how you do that, how you want to, whether you play Orioles money line or look at some of the pitching props. Tokyo Brandon, before we move on, what are your projections on Bradish today? Outs, strikeouts, whatever you want to talk about.
Let me see if I can find them. Ask Bryan a question while I find them.
Well, while you look at that, Bryan, what is your parlay like? I kind of lost track of time.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I'll be short here. Yesterday I used the first 5 for the Phillies over 1.5, had some success. I am going to do the same thing here with the Colorado Rockies. Team total on the Rockies in the first half is 1.5. It just got hit a little bit, but it's over about 155 right now. I will use that. Wroblewski, a lefty for the Dodgers, he's looked really good so far, but if you look at his base numbers, he's been pretty lucky. And Colorado can hit it in this ballpark. TB, I believe, was the one that mentioned it earlier, that Colorado gets up to play the Dodgers here. They won 2 out of the first 3 games. Colorado's always a dangerous home dog when they play a team that overlooks them. And Dodgers are obviously, they've got off to this great start. They've been in that way. So we just need 2 runs out of Colorado in the first 5 against Wroblewski. I don't think that's a problem at all. The total in this game is 11.5, so they're expecting a lot of runs. That's the way I'm going to take a look at it, and they maybe end up being my best bet on the entire day. So you're getting that today for free.
Tokyo Brandon, I'm going to go to you on that game because I know you wanted to talk Dodgers Rockies earlier. You don't have to go back to the Orioles game, but remind people if you did post your pitching prop stuff to your Twitter, this would be a good spot to let people know where they can find that.
Yeah, I did post the pitcher matchups today and hitters to back in your batting props, but I did not post the strikeouts stuff. I got Bradish getting 15 outs and 5 strikeouts. So finish 5 innings and get 5K. My parlay leg, I was going to go with the Dodgers on the money line, but I don't want to take the same game as Bryan. So
can't take the same game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll switch games here. And I will go with the Braves on the money line here at -163 for my parlay. We already covered the game, so I don't need to break it down.
Well, yeah, we covered my game too. So let's use the last couple minutes and just stay on Dodgers Rockies. Did you go ahead and talk about what you liked in that game? Someone may still want to bet it, even though you're not going to put it in the parlay.
Yeah. I put out a free play video on WagerTalk's YouTube channel earlier. They're probably going to upload it in the next hour. And one of my picks is exactly what Bryan said, which is the Colorado Rockies over 1.5. They've been a moneymaker for this. The Colorado Rockies hit very well at the beginning of games, even when they're on the road. Wroblewski has been pitching really well though, but I don't think that's going to keep them from scoring 2 runs. Like Bryan said, the total is 11.5. I was on the over 11.5 yesterday, and it cleared it easily in the 6th inning, I think. So I expect a lot of runs, and I expect the Rockies to contribute to that, at least 4 or 5 in this game.
Bryan, do you have the odds screen there? Can you just give me your play with the odds one more time? And then I'm going to have you confirm what the odds are for the other legs, and I'll announce the parlay.
Yeah, the Atlanta side, you can get 155 out there pretty much everywhere. For the first half, team total for Colorado, as we speak, it just got hit. So now it's
2.5.
First half, 2.5 over 40. It's under 40. Never mind. They moved up from 1.5 over 40 to 2.5 under 40. So let's still play it at what it is. You're getting basically, I'm seeing is DraftKings and Fanatics right now, you can get the over 2.5 at plus like 140, 130. So let's just do that. Let's play that now. So yeah, hopefully people are watching the show and they love to play, but there's not a lot of money in the market right now, so it doesn't take much. Let's go over the 2.5 at plus like 130. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so the over 2.5 plus 130. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
That's fine. And yeah, listen, I was down to a couple. If TV wants the Braves, that's fine. I have a less sort of I'm less sort of attached to that one. At this point in the day, things can change throughout the day. I'm going to put in the game that we just talked about, the Orioles. I think the Orioles win today. I've said all year, and we don't need to rehash that one, but like the Royals, I felt like they were very, very overvalued coming into the season. Nothing they've done to this point, to me, suggests that I'm wrong about that. So again, I think you buy low on Bradish right here, makes a couple of tweaks and has better command. He's going to mow through this order, and then you've got a fresh Orioles bullpen. Brian, am I seeing minus 110? Is that fair for the Orioles?
I've only see one minus 110 out there. I would say minus 14 is probably your better.
All right, we'll call it minus 115. That's fine. We'll call it Orioles minus 115 for the parlay. So again, I did say I would come on the parlay. We are chasing 8.3 units, or if you were to play every single parlay for one, you'd be minus 8.3. But it's early in the season, and like here's the thing with a 3-teamer. We hit a couple of these, we're going to be ahead. Like that's just how it goes. So we're in striking distance. This one would be great because we've got Brian's plus 130, really boosting up the odds. So today's parlay is going to be Tokyo Brandon on the Braves money line minus 155. Brian is going Rockies first 5 team total over 2.5. That's plus money, plus 130. And I will use the Orioles. We'll call it minus 115 full game just to beat the Royals. That's your 3-teamer for today. That is your show. And the 3 of us will be back tomorrow morning, same time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Head on over to the WagerTalk site. Grab that 5% NHL from Brian. Even if you don't like hockey, turn it on. There's nothing better than playoff hockey. I don't know the first thing going on in hockey. I will sit there and watch a playoff hockey game as someone from Central New York. That was awesome in Buffalo last night. People forget that that's just Bills Mafia and hockey jerseys. It's the same people. They're absolute psychos. So go grab that, and the 3 of us will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.